welcome to another part of the Worldbuilding diaries. I am currently battling the need to dive back straight into draft 2 and revisions, and I shouldn't do that no matter how much I want to. I have set the plan to start with this in October, and so I still have the whole of September to do the things that need to be doing. And unfortunately for me, the Worldbuilding is what needs to be done. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy world building a lot, maybe a little too much, but also doing it is making me want to actually dive into the story, so it's an endless loop. Last time I have figured out all of the major countries in the world, and I should continue with the world scale as well. I'm not feeling that right now, and so for the time being, I am diving into filling out character sheets. Character sheets are a strange little thing because previously I didn't trust in them that much, like filling out what hair and eye color a character has, and all this stuff is only referentially useful. But currently I am starting to see an actual value in it. Like, I have started with the main character sheets previously, like in February, I think, and they ended up being quite a lot of fleshed out, 2000 words almost of just one character sheet. And that's because I have decided to focus more on plotting out how this character develops over the course of the story. The arc summarized into plot points, so it's not just vague in my mind and slotted into the plotting itself, but also can be accessed by itself, and also specifically developing what the relationship dynamic is between this character and the other characters. Sounds like basic stuff, yeah? Yeah, it is. But also conflicts, internal and external, goals, motivations, all that stuff. Yeah, very important. The physical aspect of a character is not as important as maybe these aesthetic character sheets make it out to be. So currently I have both of the main characters done from the previous times I was working on it, and so currently I am working more on the side characters and the supporting cast, and that is where the detail gets a little more sparse, but still it's like a good exercise in getting into the character's head and figuring out what they are all about. The character I have been working on right now is Cassidy, one of Aurora's sisters. And I have been struggling with this character for a while in writing her and making stuff for her to do, because I wouldn't say she doesn't have an arc. She does, but it's a little more subdued, and she is unwilling to participate in the big political plot. And so I was like, what to do with her that doesn't relegate her to only the support role for like emotional stuff. And for a while I was even considering like cutting her out completely, since I have been struggling with her like this for years. And I've realized that, yeah, the plot itself on a big scale wouldn't change that much, but the characters and their journeys would pan out, maybe not fully differently, but yeah, it would affect them and their journey a lot. So yes, I do have to keep her, and I do have to figure out stuff for her. And that is where making the character sheet actually came in, because writing out all the stuff like personality, goals, motivations, background, and conflicts, and then the relationships, made me realize like that the way she has been struggling in the plot until now is not a problem. It's kind of, if it's fine if I'm going to make it purposeful. Like, she used to be this more adventure type character, but got burned bad and developed social anxiety, and so now she's doing a lot of people pleasing and trying to make the life of her family better while completely ignoring herself and withdrawing not socially into her shell, but like she doesn't want to leave the castle and interact with the bigger world. And so that is sort of her conflict, her not failing but falling out with the sister and their relationship breaking apart to the point until she finally realizes, oh no, I need to get out of here. So she's doing a lot of the people pleasing, but then it doesn't work, and so she realizes she's not as appreciated as she would want to be and decides to finally go out, find her own path, and grow as a person a little more again and explore the world. Which makes it interesting, but also what happens to her is a little bit. I don't want to spoil it, but she doesn't have a good ending. The other characters on my list are the friends of the main characters and people who have died. And then I have a lot of sheets that are waiting for me for more like groups of people, because not every character needs a separate sheet that is like 5 pages long. Some need like 2 paragraphs, but because they are tied together and grouped, maybe putting them on one sheet is enough. Like, for example, all of the characters from the council. Not all of them need full development, some need to be more prominent, but I don't want to make 12 separate sheets for all the 12 council members. Alright, it is now the end of the day, or more like 2 a.m. the next day, but let's ignore that. So what I have done today is finish 3 more character sheets and basically be done with the side characters. Then I thought I would be done with the work completely and got sidetracked by some writing friends and dove back into work again. You should probably check how much I have been working on it today, and I guess it's too much. Anyway, I got to open up the villain chapter, well, chapter character sheet, and it's interesting because the problem with him is that he's the embodiment of winter. He's literally part of nature, and thus he should come across as alien. And also he's rather driven and has no internal conflict. That was an interesting character to look at. Clearly not like a typical character you see in stories, and for sure not the sympathetic villain angle. Oh no, no, this man is pure evil. He's awful. No redemption for him, no sympathy for him, no readers can see themselves in him, nothing of the sort. Just pure fear and power. So, yeah, this helped me kind of look at him in a more objective sense, because I won't say I have been struggling with him, but I can say that in the previous iteration I don't think I managed to get across just how scary he is. Or maybe I did, but then I did stuff that undermined it, like showing him being a little stupid. And now in this case, he's not stupid, he's just so operating on such a large scale that he doesn't understand mortals at all, and so he can come across as not aware of basic things because they just don't matter to him, but he really is smart on that like big scale plotting millions of years ahead of time sort of thing. So yeah, that is my update for tonight. I have finished now with the villain all of the individual characters, and now I only have the groupings of characters left, which is a bit concerning. I don't know why, but I'm kind of scared to dive into that. And I probably shouldn't be scared now. I should go to bed and forget about it and leave it for tomorrow. But here I am, stressing about stuff I am not even touching yet. In a turn of events that surprises absolutely no one, it has been 2 days. It's night, not even evening, it's night, and I still haven't touched writing at all, because turns out those group character sheets are freaking me out enough to procrastinate on it completely. And so every time I felt like doing some writing or something productive, I ended up editing photos instead. I cannot even be that mad about it, because to be fair, those photos are from last year, specifically last summer, and so it took me, 13 months to get around to them more? So I am procrastinating by dealing on the thing that I have been procrastinating on for the longest time, which is a funny thing to do. So really not sure how to get out of this. So I should get back to actual writing, but I don't want to. Why is it freaking me out so much? I guess it's not even the other groups, it's the council. Because there is 12 characters, and figuring those out has massive impact on the actual plot. And this is the stuff that actually matters, and not the other ones, which was just for my reference. This is actually going to flesh out the political side of plot of book 1, which was a little bit neglected, despite this being a political fantasy. And like for the council, I have like 4 main characters on the council that kind of interact with the main character the most, and those are clear. The other 8 that are supposed to be in like groups and alliances or enemy situations with the other ones, I have absolutely no idea. So, and even like when I was writing the draft one, I ended up doing what was basically putting a placeholder name on the character and then probably never picking it up again. And so there is just 8 shadow figures that have no names, no personality, no anything, and basically jump back and forth in between like the power play, like who has the most support on the council, and it makes zero sense. And so I really need to sit down and figure out all of this, and I just don't want to. It freaks me out. What else can I say? But there is no avoiding it, it just needs to be done. And so I have to sit down and work on it. Tomorrow. It can wait until tomorrow. I'm not touching it tonight. Today I have managed to finish the 3 group pages of characters, and so only one remaining now is the council. I have worked my way around to where I cannot avoid it anymore, and I just need to get it over with. There is nothing else to do if I want to have the characters finished first before diving into other stuff, and I do. And so, yeah, I have to just sit down and get it done. And I'm thinking about just doing the main 4 for now, and the other 8 later on, or like over time, like 1 per week or something like that. But then I probably won't stick to that, and so it won't get done, and so I will still have this same exact problem carrying over through draft 2, and I don't want that. So okay, fine, I will get it done. I cannot believe I actually did it. The council is all plotted up with the 4 main players, and then the other 8 divided into support and neutral players. But the other 8 still need names figured out and stuff, so it's mostly just placeholder descriptions, like what they represent, and not actual people. But I am rather happy with this and how it turned out, and it will be very funny to play with it actually in the plot. And so now I have a full-fledged council and not just whatever I was working with during draft 1. Okay, fine, I lied. Well, maybe lied was a strong word, but yesterday I jumped into conclusions thinking that the counselor page is fully done. It is not. I have basically made archetypes, but now it's time to fill out those pages and actually make them into real people with actual real names and descriptions and stuff, and not oh the opportunist. Does that make sense? So yeah, that is the task for today when it comes to world building. And with the council done, the section on characters is also fully finished, which I am happy about. The character sheets were fun in the beginning and then unnecessary stress at the end, although I should have predicted that because I knew the council will be the hardest point. It has been the hardest point during writing draft 1, and I have been avoiding it the entire time I was writing draft 1, and so why should it be any different now? Now it's all written up and set up and ready, and so at least one big thing off my shoulders. And now I get to move on to figuring out the main kingdom as a whole and playing with the larger scale politics, which also will be fun. This should be the section where all the puzzle pieces start fitting together, and so I'm rather excited about that. Which brings me to the question, do I want to cut this world building episode here and focus solely on the characters and then do the rest in a third one, or do I just want 2 of them and do the rest right now? We will see. I guess the answer will come in editing. Character sheets are such a strange thing to make, because at first they have been really fun and helpful, and I got a lot of ideas done, and then they became a little bit more difficult with the characters I have not had figured out, and so it wasn't as smooth sailing as I expected based on what was happening at the beginning. But the good part is, yes, just writing down the character sheets helped me figure out a lot of problems with the story itself, and so when I rewrite it, I have a better idea of one of the side characters and the whole of the council. And so my tip with making character sheets or character profiles, whatever I want to call that, is to focus less on the aesthetics of it and making it look pretty, or like making the character itself look somehow special, and more of what you want to achieve with this character in the story. And so what is their whole deal? Is there something about their backstory that needs to be explained? What are their internal conflicts, external conflicts? All this more mind stuff rather than wholly physical. And again, focusing on, is this necessary to know for the story or not? So the main characters ended up with character sheets that were like almost 2000 words long, because there was absolutely everything mapped out on there, with both like the appearance, their internal external conflicts, motivations, their backstories, and mapped out all of their opinions and relations with other people, as well as roughly sketched out what emotional arcs and development they are going on, not only throughout this book, but this whole series. The side characters, like the really important ones, ended up with maybe 2 pages of information. Still the same points, but not as well in-depth developed, and more just what is necessary, because we are not in their head, so having just a more surface level look is okay for now. And only the background characters, or like who the other characters are interacting with, got these character sheets that are more like paragraph or two of description of what they are like, what they are about, what is their goal, motivation, and role in the story, and maybe a line of two of description. So yes, basically my tip is not to overcomplicate it and focus on what is important for the story you are writing. I have been writing this book in many iterations for like 10 years now. So at least for the main characters, I know them a lot in depth. This would not be the depth or level of information I would have if I started writing new project and was setting up the character sheets beforehand. So yeah, also these things can like develop over time, and worrying that they are not as fleshed out at the beginning is not as productive as people might think it is and worry about. And that concludes my rant on character profiles and character sheets, and probably this episode of the Worldbuilding Diaries. And so I hope you have enjoyed my ramblings and my frustrations. Well, there is a little bit of an issue with this world-building stuff. I have planned to make a third episode focusing on the big country the story takes place in and its politics. Issue is, I have finished all of it in like one afternoon without filming any of it. So basically now I have how the council functions, what they have done wrong during the 15 years before the story started, and why they are fighting against the main character, and what exactly she's going to do to counter them. And so that is basically everything on the world building scale I need before I approach draft 2. And so that means world building is done, and all I need to do now is dive into the read through of the book itself, which I have been actually sort of doing. One actually read already, and so now it's time for Act 2 and Act 3 before I can actually dive into the revisions and see what else is necessary from the world building to fill in, because right now I was just functioning on what I knew needed filling out, but maybe I will encounter something that I didn't know and have to dive into again. But in case that is not the case, this is probably the end, and the world building only took 2 sessions to finish, which I'm kind of glad about. That didn't drag on for too long, and I got a lot of it done, and so very happy with it. So this is the actual end of this video. Thank you for watching it with me and struggling with me to figure out all the stuff. I am very glad that everything has kind of connected and falling into piece. Like the big puzzle is laid out and finished. And now I get to reread the book and figure out what else is wrong with it. Fun, yay. And so tell me in the comments which is the most difficult thing you have world built so far. Because let's be real, it has been the political system. It has been 100% for me.